Hello, TRTA members and all of our friends and supporters. My name is Tim Lee. I'm the Executive Director of the Texas Retired Teachers Association, and today is the start of the 88th legislative session, and we are Texas legislative session. We're so excited about the next 20 weeks and what we are going to all be working on. And today is really the start of something obviously new. It's a new legislative session, but it's also the start of something that we are really going to try to do every week, which is an update with our members about our issues, of course, that we're working on with the TRTA legislative agenda. We want to bring you current news and updates. Right over my shoulder, you may see a glimpse of the Texas Capitol. Even as I speak right now, the Texas House is preparing to vote on who will be the Speaker of the House. And so I was watching that until we went live, and I'm sure a lot of you are also watching that. But my objective is to try and be more up to date, current, and real with our TRTA members throughout the legislative session. I want to do at least one of these updates, one of these shows every week. And so we really are going to try to have 20 episodes. In other words, get us through all 140 days of the Texas legislative session. And of course, we're going to record these. If you can watch them live, that's great. You can watch on YouTube. You can watch on Facebook. We're going to try a lot of different things. And today, my objective is really just to give everybody a kind of a top-down overview to get us ready for what's coming and to know a little bit about how we are all working together on our legislative agenda. And so, again, I just want to say welcome to you, TRTA members. If you're on Facebook, you can type in live comments. If you're watching on YouTube, you certainly can do that as well. I've got several screens in front of me, and I watch a lot of people do these programs, and it always seems so professional. But I may look down at the screen from time to time. This is a live broadcast, so if something goes wrong, we say here at TRTA, "Blessed are the flexible, for they are never been out of shape." And so that's our objective. So anyway, thanks again for joining me, and I wanted to start today talking about what is our primary objective for this 88th legislative session with TRTA. And some people are already in the comments getting there a little ahead of me. But let's go ahead and make one comment right out of at the beginning. We are working to get our retirees a cost of living raise here in Texas. If you're brand new to the Retired Teachers Association, or if you're brand new in retirement, you may not know that the last raise that retirees received was actually passed in the 2013 legislative session. 10 years ago is the last time the Texas legislature voted on providing a raise for retirees. And that raise was a 3% increase capped at $100 a month. And you had to be retired as of August 31st, 2004 or before. And so you had about half of all current retirees that received that raise, and half of all other TRS retirees that didn't receive the raise. And we, as an organization, strongly believe that now is the time to pass another raise for retirees. Some people may wonder why we don't have automatic cost of living adjustments in Texas. And, I think the simplest answer is that's not part of the program, the TRS retirement plan that we have today. And so the legislature is responsible for making a determination as to when and how retirees may receive an inflation protection increase, or something that would help offset inflationary pressure. And in the history of TRS, there have been many, many decades where retirees received cost of living raises. It's just here been in the last 15 or 20 years that those retirees, those raises haven't happened as frequently. And for half of all current TRS retirees, they've never had a raise. And so here we are. If you retired 9/1/04 and after, we're going into year 20, where that retirement benefit has not gone up at all. And I think a lot of you that are watching this know that many people in the general public, number one, they don't know that retirees are not getting an increase in their retirement benefits. And many of them just believe that if you're 65 and over, you probably are getting your Social Security. And at least that is some protection that people have with the rising inflationary pressure that seniors are experiencing today. We, of course, know differently. We know that many people are affected by the government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision, that when Social Security is talking about getting an 8.9% increase or an 8.7% increase in this year for Social Security recipients, that didn't affect us at all. And so if we're going to get a raise, the legislature is the group that has to act. And as we've talked about on this broadcast before, the Teacher Retirement System of Texas, the Board of Trustees over at TRS, they just cannot choose to do that on their own. It takes legislative action. And so now we're back in session and bills are being filed and they will be debated. And people will talk about what is the right way to help retirees in this coming session. And so, you know, we have many weeks ahead of us where we are going to be getting involved in these discussions about a COLA. But that is our number one priority, our legislative priority for this session. And so we're very focused on it. And we're going to talk about how we as an organization can try to continue to influence that and be a big part of helping that happen over the next 140 days. And so the work is going to happen every day. We've been working for months up until this point, and here we are now at the start of session. And so, you know, it's time to rock and roll. And so I'm just taking a look at some of our comments. I'm seeing a lot of folks, you know, saying hello from all over the state. I want to say hi to Floyd. It's good to see you here, Floyd. We've got Belinda checking in. You know, lots of different folks that are logging in. Elva, one of my great friends, Elva Garcia, is here watching. And if you're watching, thanks again for being here and being a part of this. I want to talk some about the comments that are already showing up on the feeds. And many of you know that yesterday, the Texas Comptroller, Glenn Hager, who is also himself a former Texas legislator, but now serves as our Texas Comptroller, gave a report about the budget and the amount of dollars that are available for legislators to start making decisions. And I want to say here at the beginning, during the Comptroller's presentation, he did a kind of a live broadcast like we're doing right now with reporters, and a lot of folks were kind of tuned in. And I want to say a personal thank you to Comptroller Hager for taking a question from our association in asking whether or not we could see the utilization of some of the balance that the state of Texas has, the extra revenue being used to help retirees. And he spoke at least favorable on the idea that the legislature has those opportunities to consider that. But he was nice enough to take that question. And so, you know, we're grateful for that. But in reading from the Texas Tribune, if you are following political news in Texas and you're saying, hey, where can I get up to minute stuff? Chronicle is a great place to go. The Dallas Morning News is excellent. San Antonio Express, Austin American Statesman. A lot of your local papers have excellent news coverage. I'd encourage you to take a look at all of those. Get on their Facebook page, you know, take a look at what you can. But Texas Tribune is another one that also offers a lot of information. And so just briefly reading from their article on that, Texas is projected to have $188.2 billion available in general revenue for funding the business of the state of Texas for the 24-25 biennium. This is an unprecedented 26% increase from what lawmakers had during the last budget cycle. the Texas Comptroller, Glenn Hager, said Monday in his biennial revenue estimate. He then said it's far more money than legislators have ever had at their disposal, with an increase in available funds that dwarfs any previous jumps between these cycles, thanks largely to a tax collection windfall that has left the state flush with cash. So we are dealing with, as many of you know, a much better financial picture, probably the best financial picture that the state of Texas has ever seen. And this article is quick to point out that a lot of that additional revenue is on sales tax receipts collections, because many people are paying higher prices for everything. And if you think about the Texas economy, there is a constant in the Texas economy, and that constant is the buying power of 458,000 current TRS retirees. TRS payroll is now over $1 billion a month for all TRS retirees, and 94% of all Texas retired school employees remain in Texas. So $940 million every month is being pumped into this Texas economy. Everything that retired school employees are paying for is costing more money. And those higher inflation costs are helping push more dollars in to the surplus revenue that the state of Texas has. Now, until yesterday, we were hearing that surplus revenue was $27 billion, around about $27 billion. But as of yesterday, the newest budget revenue estimate says that the overage amount is $32.7 billion. So continuing in the article in the Texas Tribune, it says that this includes a historic $32.7 billion in state dollars expected to be left over in Texas coffers from the 22-23 biennium, thanks to, quote, vigorous economic growth, gas prices, inflation, and other factors in the past 18 months. So these dollars will be a major discussion item for the Texas legislature in this session, these 140 days. And there are going to be many ways presented for how these funds can be used. For the Retired Teachers Association, we're imploring the legislature, really. I was going to say we're making a pitch, but considering how desperate retirees are, that this inflation has impacted them so much, and that, it could be argued that retirees being disproportionately hit by inflation and on fixed incomes, paying these higher prices and helping drive these costs, or help driving these dollars into the state coffers, it would seem reasonable to think that some of those dollars could be directed back towards the retirees, and something that would be a cost of living raise. Let's face it, inflation is one of those things that is going to be talked about a lot during this legislative session. I am not an economist, but like all of you, I go to the grocery store. I feed a family of 6. I have a car payment. I have, taxes. Everyone knows that today everything is costing more, everything. And for retirees who have not had an increase in their retirement benefits for 10 to 20 years, those costs are hitting hard. And so, we are focused on the big picture and wanting to explore every opportunity that will be made available to the legislature in how to help retirees. I believe that our Texas elected officials believe that the teachers and the retired school employees of Texas are an important a group of people that they want to try and do something to help us. And there are many bills that have already been filed as an approach to, how could this be done? And over the next 140 days, we are going to have some important things happening that will begin to form a picture of what this may look like. And like all of you, I want us as an organization to be different. I want us as an organization to believe that the people that are here serving as public servants themselves in the Texas legislature are wanting to do the right thing. May not all agree on what that may be or how to get it done, but generally speaking, and having been around these Texas legislators myself now, this is my 10th legislative session, so 20 years that I've had an opportunity to work with Texas legislators. I believe they are focused on wanting to help us. And I think this session presents many opportunities for making that happen. Clearly, there is a lot of money, and it would be difficult for any of us to think that there isn't enough money to come up with some solutions for helping retirees. And so as an organization, we want to be a part of that process, and we're going to give some suggestions on how every TRTA member can be a part of that process. But the one of the most important rules, I think, in the Texas legislative process or any public policy making process is to build relationships. This is a relationship business. And many of you that are watching this, and I'm looking at the screen to see a lot of the folks that are tuned in here, and I'm recognizing so many names, and I'm seeing pictures of folks with their Facebook icon or their YouTube information. And I have a personal relationship with all of you, and you're very supportive of this organization. You're very kind. And it helps me when I go over there to think about you. And in this relationship business, I want those 181 members of the Texas legislature to also think about you and the relationship that they have at that grassroots level, that hometown level, with all of you, because that is what is going to help us be different. Yelling and demanding, I'll speak for myself. I watch a lot of the stuff that goes on in today's body politic, and it just turns me off. It is not something that I'm particularly interested in. I want to build bridges. I want to help people. I want to get as much as we can possibly win for our TRS retirees, because it's the right thing to do. And it is always the right time to do the right thing. And so this legislative session, one of the challenges that I have for us as an organization is, let's be different. Let's communicate positive things. You can be forceful in the points that we want to make and still be positive. And y'all, we've got some big legislative helper items that are going to be coming your way. And we're going to be asking you all to help us with getting some information so that we can more effectively communicate and kind of cut through the noise in this legislative process. But, one of the important messages that I think our members are sending back to our association and that we're trying to send back to the Texas legislature is that so many people are desperate for some more help than what we have seen over the last several sessions. Inflation over the last 18 months is at the highest it has been in 40 years. And for a retiree living on a fixed income, as we know, it is next to impossible to think that we can continue to survive and live in this economy when those inflation pressures continue to increase at such an unprecedented levels, and not have a plan on providing retirees with a bump in their retirement benefits to help offset those increasing costs. But some of you may not know that the average TRS monthly annuity is $2,174. So you think about that 458,000 group of people. The average monthly annuity is $2,174. You've got some folks that are higher than that. You've got a lot of folks that are lower than that. The last number that I saw, and probably can be updated, but it was about 130,000 people that made $1,000 a month or less. About 150,000 people, I think, are making $1,500 a month or less. I don't have that in front of me, so if I need to come back and correct that next week, I will. But it gives you a picture that Texas TRS benefits are not on this extreme scale that some people may think that they are. And so many people that have retired after working decades in our public schools now are, as I said, desperate for some kind of cost of living raise. And so we're focusing on several critical, areas of communication. Inflation is a pay cut for TRS retirees, that only the legislature can authorize a cost of living adjustment for TRS retirees. And that, as I said a few seconds ago, retirees are desperate to get some kind of permanent increase in their retirement benefits. A lot of retirees remember back in 2013 when the legislature passed the last raise, that the idea was, as soon as the pension system was able to do more for TRS retirees, we would come back and do that. And that's why you had a group of people that received the raise and another group of people that didn't. If you look at what the legislative activity has been over the past 10 or 15 years with TRTA and the legislature working together, so much of that work has been focused on ensuring that our TRS pension fund remains fiscally sound. And there's been some amazing leaders in the Texas legislature that have taken that charge from retired teachers of Texas, TRTA, other stakeholders, said, hey, we want to build a future where TRS is going to be strong forever. TRS has a statement where they say, we are in the forever business. And as an organization, TRS is unable to do any advocacy. They cannot lobby. But we, as an organized group of retired teachers, that is our role. We are the grassroots advocates that protect TRS. And many of our members believe that, we are doing a great job protecting TRS. Now is the time to try to protect the financial security of all of our current TRS retirees. I mean, there comes a point where you ultimately say, hey, look, we've put a lot of focus on ensuring the solvency of the fund, which we always believe that is, mission critical. But making sure that retirees can afford milk is mission critical. And so, and we're living much more so on the margins. And in a state that is blessed to have both an economic stabilization fund with many billions of dollars in it, as well as what's called the cash carry balance, or the amount of money that's coming from the unexpended dollars from additional revenues that have occurred in the state of Texas, $32.7 billion. There absolutely must be a way to help 458,000 Texans who have given their live work in their careers work to benefit the state through our education profession here in Texas. And so, that is our focus this legislative session. And I'm about ready to get fired up about it. If y'all know me, sometimes, I just start talking and because I know a lot of you believe the things that I'm saying, that energy comes from y'all, and I'm ready to go over there and start working today. There's just it'll be a week or two before we start some of the major efforts in the building. But just to give you a glimpse of kind of what we're seeing happening over the next month or so with TRTA, our state association will be bringing advocates from all over Texas in various teams to go and meet directly with state legislators and deliver a message of both need and the desire to see some help coming our way this legislative session. So we'll be bringing in advocates, volunteer advocates from around the state of Texas from the end of January through the middle of February. Our legislative coordinator and volunteer Mary Widmeyer, who's running our state legislative committee and is a TRTA board member, has done an amazing job of organizing our grassroots. And I want to tell you a little bit about our team as I start winding down. I'm just going to look and see what other questions that people have had in the chat. But we have an amazing team. You all, some people say, hey, where do my membership dollars go? We have an unbelievable legislative team that works on behalf of our association. By far, the most important part of this team are the advocates, the grassroots TRTA member advocates, all of you that have paid your TRTA dues and you're part of this organization. You belong to a local chapter. You belong to this organization as a state member. You are the most important part. And to help you all with that work, this organization has formed a team of professionals that will be here every day for the 140 days. At the tip of that spear is the TRTA Board of Directors and our legislative coordinator. We have a very involved state association president, Marcy Can from the Houston area, is leading our board, is very dedicated to this idea of winning a cost of living raise for retirees, getting the best that we can this legislative session. I've already mentioned Mary and our state legislative committee. It's made up of 20 leaders from around the state. But we also have Vicki Truitt is one of our state legislative consultants. She's a former member of the Texas legislature, served in the Texas House, was chair of the Pensions Investments Committee for a number of sessions, served on a lot of different committees in the legislature, and is one of our lobbyist advocates that we have on our team. We also have Ronnie Young, who is the former executive director of the Teacher Retirement System of Texas. Ronnie has worked with us for a number of years. He is our pensions consultant. We also have Brock Gregg, who is a lobbyist and works for TRTA, is one of the most experienced people in the Capitol when it comes to public education and TRS matters. And I've known Brock for over 20 years, a tremendous advocate who works with us day to day. We have Andrew Weber, who's another one of our policy consultants, who is an attorney and helps TRTA as well. We have Larry Yawn, who is a TRTA member. He's a TRS retiree. He served in a gubernatorial position, worked in state government, worked with school districts, and primarily worked in the field of education as an expert on policy matters. And so Larry is on our team. And then we have other staff members like Cindy Sharp, who's the best writer I've ever known, who does so much work on our inside line. We've got Roy Varney right now, who's helping me produce this video. And at some point in time, I'm probably going to talk Roy into being a part of these videos and make it more conversational. And then you have me, and so my objective is to be a leader in that team, but also to mostly listen to our members and communicate what you all are saying back to the legislature so that they know what is the right way to move forward. So that's our team that we're working with. And I want to not only mention the fact that we are coming here with our legislative activities at the end of January going to February, but many of you watching this video already know that we are going to have a day at the Capitol in April. And before I get that wrong, I want to get the right date for everybody, but I believe that date is April 12th. But let me check the calendar just quickly, because sometimes when you're on live TV, people are honking their horn. I'm not sure if that can be heard, but it is really kind of throwing me off my game here. April 12th, Wednesday, April 12th is our TRTA Day at the Capitol. If you're a TRTA State Association president, or if you're working with the legislative committee, or you're a member of a local, or you're an at-large member, if you don't even belong to TRTA, April 12th is your day to be in Austin at the Capitol. And so, get connected to our network and plan on being at our Day at the Capitol, April 12th, as we come here to try to continue the work and really make an impact on the legislature to help us with our primary objectives this legislative session. All right, y'all, I'm going to take a look at some of the Q&A things that are going on. If you're wanting to ask a question, now is the great time to do it. I see Carol Smith, one of my good friends, has said a meaningful and substantial COLA. Absolutely our focus. Greetings from District 2 from Kathy. I've had a few people ask me about the GPO and the WEP. I will say that Congress is doing a great job. They're very, I'll leave all my jokes about Congress stuff for another session, but we will get updated on the GPO and WEP. I've got some folks that are meeting with me this week, even to talk about what is our next step in that direction. But we'll save WEP and GPO for another one of these broadcasts. I do want to say this because I think it's important. Sometimes we send out messaging on something like a COLA or on TRS Care or on WEP or on GPO. And I will get emails back, and believe me, I read all the emails. I may not get a chance to reply to all of them, but I read all of the comments when people send them to me. And in case you're wondering, when we send out an inside line and somebody wants to reply to what we're saying, that is not going anywhere but in my inbox. So if you've always wondered, I'm going to reply to this and I wonder where it goes, it comes straight to me, and I read those comments. And sometimes I see people say, hey, you're talking a lot about the WEP. What about a COLA for retirees? We are always working on all of these issues. We may not be communicating on all of them all the time because I think that, obviously I like to talk a lot. I like to write a lot. And I think people would just get really, those updates would be too long for us to say everything that we wanted all the time. But we're always working on those issues. And again, I would love for more people to be involved with TRTA so that we can communicate with more retirees. Our organization is probably around 93,000 members right now. There are 458,000 retirees in the state of Texas. And so the more that we can do, not only to advocate with our elected officials, but to invite more people to be a part of this organization and membership, y'all, now's the time. I mean, we need everyone to put on the jersey, to say, put me in, coach. I'm willing to do something. Now's the time. If you're willing to share your story with us about how you might be making financial trade-offs that you didn't expect or how it's impacted your life, we're going to be sending out some communication to our network, our TRTA members over the next couple of weeks that's asking you to share with us. We're wanting to collect at least one story for every member in the Texas legislature about a retiree in their community that may be having to make some kind of financial trade-off because prices have gone up so much. The 13th check that we received in 2022, it was passed in 2021. We got that supplemental check, and that was very much needed. We have to continue to build on that because the prices of goods and services keep going up. And many people receive the supplemental check and they said, look, that supplemental check helped me cover something that had already been an expense that I incurred, but didn't have a way to pay for it. Those dollars are gone and the prices keep going up. And so that's really why we are so focused on the need for a cost of living raise, is that those supplemental checks are amazing. And they're so beneficial. Retirees are always seeming to be digging out of a hole because the prices keep going up. And if our retirement benefits aren't keeping up in some way, even in any way with the cost of inflation, we're always going to be digging out of a hole. And so, again, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but these are some of the comments that I have seen as people respond to our messages that we put out on the inside line. And they say, can somebody please be my voice in the legislature and tell these elected officials that's me. That's what I'm dealing with. That's the pressure that I'm in. And so if you have one of those stories and you see an email come to your inbox and you say, "Oh, I'm going to share my story," please do that. Listen, I know. Look, I went to almost 20 districts. I think I went to 15 districts in the fall, and I met with thousands of TRTA members. One of the comments that I had, and I don't disagree with it, is this: I've sent the letters. I have made the phone calls. I have sent the emails. If my elected official doesn't know by this time that I need a cost of living raise, there's nothing else left for me to say. Well, listen, there are 26 new House members this time. I think there are 5 new Senate members. We have a number of tools that this association can use to try and move our legislative agenda forward. And one of the tools that we have is to make sure that the people that are in elected office can put a face to the pain that our retirees are dealing with, and influence them to make the best decisions they can, the most aggressive decisions they can to help us. And so if you're willing to share that information, please do so. We're going to send that out to y'all, and then you can make some comments. Again, I'm just trying to take a look at the comments, and I'm going to end with some suggestions as we start this legislative session. I wrote down, along with my friend Brock, as I was mentioning a few minutes ago, the top 10 thoughts that come to my mind when it comes to working with the Texas legislature. And so we came up with a few suggestions. The first one that we have, and these may not be in any particular order, but we wrote down, stay informed. TRTA members, we've got the inside line. We're going to have these videos. We're going to be doing these shows. Send me your questions. If you want your legislator to appear with me on one of our weekly updates, call that legislator and say, "Hey, Tim Lee's doing a show every week. Why don't you get on his show and talk about how to help retirees?" I'd be glad to have more guest appearances on these broadcasts. And I'm going to have guests on here. I'm going to have a lot of folks come on here with me, and we're going to try to make it informative and entertaining, because I've been on here for 37 minutes. And if you're still watching, thank you. And we're going to record these. You can watch them later, but I want to, get more people, but stay informed. And Inside Line, it's free. You don't even have to be a member of TRTA. I would challenge anyone who isn't a TRTA member to sign up for our Inside Line and look at what we're doing in this organization and try to tell me it's not worth the $35 a year to support this organization. There are not too many things out there for $35 that you're going to get as much value, especially when it comes to protecting your retirement, security, and livelihood, than what you're able to get because of the amazing volunteer leaders in this organization who have built up this association. And so, again, my challenge to you is sign up for the Inside Line and read what we're doing and get engaged, and then make a decision as to whether or not you think we have earned your $35. I'm biased, but I believe that every day our objective is to try to earn your trust and your membership dollars that you invest in us, and use those things wisely. And that's what we intend to do. So stay informed. Build relationships. This is a relationship business. I said it earlier. I'm going to say it again. Build relationships with your elected officials. If that relationship is just based on getting on their social media page and telling that person how bad they are, that is not going to be a productive relationship. Get on that social media page and build a relationship. Be a spokesperson for our issue and encourage that legislator. The truth is the truth. And you can deliver the truth in a powerful way and not look like what the rest of social media looks like. You all are educators, the most amazing advocates ever. And you vote. A powerful combination in the relationship business is when you both can be counted on as a resource for truth and what is right and positive, but also someone who shows up during the voting time. that, enough said. Build relationships. Stay connected. It's number 3 on our list. Stay connected. Join a local, join the state organization, communicate with each other, show up on social media, talk, let us know what's happening, but just stay connected. Pay attention to what's going on for the next 140 days. We need you. I don't know how else to say it. As I said a few seconds ago, put on the jersey. It's time. It is go time, folks. Follow up. If you are talking to an elected official, if you're talking to an active teacher, if you're talking to us, or if you need something from us, follow up. Just stay engaged, and follow up is critical. Many people in this process will ask for something. They may, say they're going to connect with somebody later, and then that person never hears from them again. And out of sight, out of mind. So if you have the opportunity to be engaged with someone, follow up. This is a big one that I'm sure is going to be controversial. Are you ready? Say thank you. It's seeming like it is more and more difficult for people to just be polite and say thank you. I'm a big believer in treating people the right way. And so in this process, you've got elected officials who they've decided that they want that job. And, I think we should support them. And we need to represent our issues. But in that building where you've got 181 legislators, you have thousands of staff members. And a lot of them are young, college, age students, interns. You've got, career-oriented folks over there, people that have been beat up by the political process. I have sat in those legislators' offices when some group is not liking something that's going on, and they pick up the phone, and that staff person who's part of that process because they want to learn this business and they want to get to know and they want to help people, they are just getting yelled at by somebody on the other end. And it's tough. Some of the most magical words that may help our issues, help you and help them. Thank you. So let's continue to be that group that says thank you. Some of the ones that I have written down here are be strong. This is going to be a tough legislative session. It's going to be a long legislative session. There are going to be ups and downs, and there are going to be things that are going to be told to us that are going to not make us feel like we are moving our issue or that progress is being made. One of the ones that I have is be strong. Another one that I've written down is believe. The power of believing that we can make a difference is something that I think we have to make infectious with other TRS retirees. I was on social media today. I read an email that I was looking at 3:00 this morning where someone said, Tim, the legislators simply don't care. And I have, even at times over 25 years of doing this in 2 different states, and whether it's Texas or Capitol Hill, I have walked away thinking, maybe these people just don't care as much as I think they do. But every day, I believe that they are looking for a way to make a difference. I believe that you all can make a difference. I believe that we collectively can make a difference. And I choose to live my life, especially in that building, believing that being a part of this organization makes a difference. So believe that we can do it this legislative session. One of the most important ones is be honest. And so if you don't know the answer, you don't know the answer. Don't make it up. We'll get it for you. That's why you've got us to help back you up. But always be honest. Stay on message. And our message this legislative session is a cost of living raise. That's our message. We think the legislature has the ability to make that happen. We think there's a lot of ways to get to where we need to be to help retirees. But our message is that we need a raise. And that retirees are dealing with just unbelievable inflation pressure. Now's the time to do something. So stay on message. The last one that I have is show up every day knowing this team is making a difference. And I mean all of us as a team. And so, we're not going to take a day off this legislative session. We are going to work every day from the start of whenever they go into a committee until the end when they close out business for the night. We're going to be there. And so I'm counting on all of you to communicate back to us what you're hearing, what you're learning, what's going on. And we're going to communicate with you. And so, I really look forward to what is going to be now 139 days as of tomorrow left that we have this legislative session to make a difference. I did have some of my top suggestions for legislators. I've never been an elected official, so maybe it's not my place to give advice to a legislator. But the most important piece of wisdom that I could pass on to members of the Texas legislature is be willing to listen to TRS retirees. Our story is an important one in the state of Texas. These dedicated men and women who gave their entire lifetime of their career to serve Texas in our schools. They're an important part of our Texas economy. They're an important part of our Texas infrastructure. They're just unbelievably amazing people that have generally done everything they can to support the state. And so we're asking for your help. And if you work for a legislator or you are a Texas legislator, I want you to be able to count on the Texas Retired Teachers Association and our membership. Certainly, you can count on my staff to be there and to work with you. And we believe in the work that you are doing, and we want to be helpful. And if you're a TRTA member, thank you so much. If you are not yet joined TRTA, I'd ask that you please consider doing that. I'd ask that you join our Facebook page, connect with us on YouTube. Look forward to this legislative session, and we will talk again next week. Y'all have a great day, and be well.